Director of Operations.
Yes, I was.
For the entire national.
Yeah, national.
Yes, because for a moment I thought I was getting that designation.
I was.
Were you Director of Operations when the 2016 elections happened?
Yes, I was Director of Operations from 2015 thereabout to 2017.
Okay.
And during that period, we supervised we planned and supervised the 2016 election. And I will want to say that so far as our Fourth Republic is concerned, 2016 election is arguably one of the most peaceful elections. No fly, not even a fly died. Yeah. Remember, even in 2015-16, this issue of political vigilantes was high, but we managed to douse that fire.
How did you do that? Because at the time, the President AKUFO-ADDO was a candidate at the time, had declared a lack of confidence in the Ghana Police Service, the security setup.
Yes.
And so there were moves with the vigilantes groups being set up from one region to another. How did you manage to gravitate all that?
You see, when you work, and I am always using my experiences to narrate this story, when you work without political interference, and I'm not saying there's no political interference in the police service.
Okay.
I'm saying that my work as Director of Operations and the management of that election under the supervision of Mr. Yohonu and then Mr. Kudalo, I was given a free hand as a technocrat to work.
Okay.
Nobody from any political party interfered with our work, or in government interfered in our work. And therefore, we're able to put structures in place. Would it interest you to know that in 2016, I think in March or April, thereabout, we managed to have a communique, which we call an ADDO communique, signed among the political parties. And I believe that General Siedu Katia was the one who signed it on behalf of NDC. We signed just to distance themselves and disassociate themselves from the political vigilantes. It was high on the agenda, but with talks and other seminars and workshops and other things, we managed in such a way that you saw that they were not a problem just before, during, and after the election. And that's how we did it. Look, we from 2015, we started meeting the stakeholders. Even the political parties, we met them a number of occasions, not once. As we are observing now, we met them a number of occasions. There were times we met the executives, then we met the youth, then we went back to meet the women's groups, etc. And all kinds of stakeholders across board. Mention them: the Muslim, Christian Council, the Catholic Bishops Conference. We met all of them. Just to push the agenda for peace and how they should conduct themselves and other things, and so it was something that we did professionally, and it worked out for us. And that is why when I speak about elections and National Election Security Task Force, I'm not saying it because I have lived it and I've worked it and it has worked. I hope and pray that this one will also work, and especially during 2016 election was a very critical election, just like this one. That's
quite interesting, because I realized when we were Director of Operations, that from IGP Alasan all through IGP Kudalo, there was a constant attempt to create a friendlier police service. And you didn't see as many arms that you see nowadays. But now let's go into the matter of how you managed to do that and what you're seeing now. I'm sure by the time the 2020 elections happened, you were in court.
Yeah.
You're already in court facing prosecution.
Yes.
Were you surprised at everything that happened around Ayawaso West Wogon, from Ayawaso West Wogon, all through the registration exercise where a young man was killed in Banda? Also then to the 2020 elections where 8 people lost their lives. Were you surprised at how these things happened and the involvement of state security?
I was surprised, but not totally surprised, especially looking at those in power then, and still in power.
What has changed?
I mentioned earlier that during our time, the politicians allowed us to do our work.
Okay.
Remember the I also West Wogon by-election. The deployment of the national security SWAT was a political decision.
Okay.
It wasn't, and it was done on the blind side of the IGP. The IGP did not know about it. The police command did not know about it. So they did it by themselves. 2020 election, those deployments by the military, and I said elsewhere that so far as there's no investigation to establish whether they were military or not, they were in military uniform, so we take them to be military people. The military themselves have not come out to distance themselves from it, and so we take them to be military people who were deployed. Those deployments were all done on the blind side of the IGP. And then the police. Another typical example was the Agordzo deployment by the military. It was the regional minister who deployed the military. So you see, that is why I like to jump into this issue when I read that the IGP is the sole decider when it comes to military deployment. It's false. It's completely false. It's something that the NDC should be careful in taking, because the IGP in our scheme of things now is not the sole decider on when the military will be deployed. And I've given instances where the military have been deployed, even in parliament. Did the IGP know about it? The IGP did not know about it. Listen carefully. The National Election Security Task Force is not backed by any law. And it is common knowledge. Many people know that it's not backed by any law. It is only something, it's an understanding, it's working based on understanding of the stakeholders. Okay. It's based on the goodwill of the stakeholders that we will work together to ensure that there is this. So it's not backed by law. So once it's not backed by the law, IGP cannot claim that he's the last person to decide whether on which basis.
So there's no legal authority.
There's no legal authority backing it. The legal authority that backs the national security or the security of this nation is National Security Council, chaired by the president, of which the IGP is a member. And then also when you look at the Defense Intelligence Act and other things, which national security, RECSEC and DISEC and other things, they are the laws that are guiding our security in this nation. So they will make the recommendations. The IGP can decide to make a recommendation, but it's still subject to political decision. And that is why nobody should count on that statement by the IGP that he's the last person to deploy, to give the nod to deploy the military. It is unfounded. It's not backed by any law.
So the only way that can work is if the politicians make it a point not to do anything else.
Yes.
To go by the arrangement.
To go by the arrangement.
Okay.
That is because it's the goodwill. So in our case, during 2016, what worked was that the political authority at that time made it a point to respect the goodwill.
Okay.
The understanding based upon which the National Election Security Task Force worked. Okay. Now, consistently, this government has breached that goodwill and understanding of the National Election Security Task Force. And therefore, there is no way anybody should count on them that the military will not be deployed. That is why I am saying that, look, much as at every polling station, you find only one police officer. Sometimes not a police officer. They are not even armed. Yeah. Sometimes it is either a prisons officer, a fire service officer, or immigration officer. Okay? Now, if the citizens do not take the responsibility of protecting their votes in their own hands, what else would anybody do? Because assuming that in a particular constituency, 3 or 4 or 5 military units arrive and they want to steal the votes of people or to disorganize the entire system, what will the police patrols do? They can only go to 1 or 2 places. The rest, it will only take the citizens' responsibility to protect their votes, to say, no, we will not allow you. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Otherwise, if you want to count, I am not saying by any stretch of imagination that we should not count on the security arrangement of the National Election Security Task Force. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that nobody should depend on the security arrangement by the IGP and the National Election Security. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in addition to all that arrangement that the National Election Security Task Force has made, and given the orientation of this current government I also West Wogon, Agordzo, and all kinds of places, citizens should also get ready to defend their votes. What do they do?
So to you, the biggest factor, before you come, the biggest factor, the reason, because I was surprised when I read that, I was like, ACP was Director of Operations of the Police. How can he then be calling on citizens to do a job that perhaps we usually would trust the police and the security to do? So for you, the biggest reason you are making that call is because of the administration, the character of the administration in place.
That's the point. There are evidences here and there. In 2020, it happened, and it was sporadic. It was here and there, not at only Tachiman Saf, but at a number of other places, right? Assuming they decide to do it again, what will happen? Will the police be able to contain it? Will the police be able to battle the military? One police officer who is not armed at a polling station, what will he do? Assuming we even have police patrols, how many police patrols can we have within one constituency? Are you getting the resources? So my point is this. I'm not calling for any chaos. I'm saying that we still will respect what the arrangement of the police. We still will respect the arrangement of any security architecture constituted by law. But citizens have responsibility. In our laws, don't we have citizens arrest?
Yes.
Yes, citizens can arrest people and submit them to the police. Even citizens can arrest the police who is misbehaving. Oh yes, if a policeman is misbehaving and shooting sporadically and killing people, what would if the citizens are able to mobilize to arrest and disarm them, is allowed? Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Okay. So my point I'm making is that citizens should not distract the processes at the polling station. The inner perimeter is not for them. The outer perimeter, you could stand there, but even that at a reasonable distance. Okay. I have been a director of operation, and I don't want to control. I want to be consistent by saying that when you finish voting, leave the voting the space for the people to do their work.
Okay.
Come back during the counting of votes. That is allowed. And come and observe. And whilst you're observing, be vigilant. Be vigilant so that soldiers and unauthorized persons, it could even be national security SWAT, they are also illegal and they are not allowed anywhere near the polling stations. You must be ready to resist them. Otherwise, you see, if we allow them to put fear into us and do the things that they do again in 2020, then we don't have any cause to complain, because it will go to court. Remember, from what I have read, NDC is not ready to go to court again. After 2016, when MPP went to court, and then it went against them, they also decided not to go to court.
That's after 2012.
After 2012, right?
Yes.
Okay, after 2012, they decided not to go to court. And they worked themselves, and they were ready never to go to court and to do their own things. NDC has also decided not to go to court. So the whole battle, and when I call it battle, I'm saying it advisedly. This whole battle of who wins is at the polling station and at the collation centers. So people should protect their votes. I'm hearing, for instance, that the media should not be. They will limit them. They will limit them. I'm surprised at all those shenanigans. Why will anybody limit the number of what criteria? What criteria would they use so that at this constituency polling station, collation center, Radio Go will not be there, then the other one they will be there? No, allow the media to be there. If there is space, if they don't get space, nobody will ask them to sit outside. But so far as there is space, allow the media into it. And I believe that the media commission or something, they should work at this and resist this move by the electoral commission to do this. So the point I'm essentially making is that the opposition parties, especially the NDC, should not count on that statement by the IGP that he is the sole decider on when military will be deployed, because they could be deployed on his blind side.
IGP does not have that control.
I'm saying that they should not count on it.
Okay.
Because I'm saying that from the experiences we have had, they have been deployed on the blind side of the IGPs. And besides that, I'm saying that the National Election Security Task Force that he has is not backed by any law. It operates on goodwill. So on what basis is he having the last, to be the last person to decide, or the final decider of when the military will be called in?
Quite interesting. But you seem to also have some issues with even the arrangement that have been announced by the IGP on election day. Key issue, and let's turn to the media again. The IGP is making a proposal that helps to protect the media houses. You are saying the officers they are assigning should not be assigned for that purpose. Why?
You see, we have police PRs.
Okay.
Or PROs.
Okay.
And they are in the regions, they have their office, and they have staff. Okay. If you want other people to work together with them, it may be understandable. The IGP is saying that for this election, he wants the police intelligence department personnel to be the media liaison officers at various media stations. I believe that you've also received one or two people who will be liaising with you.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. I went to other stations and I saw that they read the now. Almost 1 week to time, you don't even know who is going to liaise with you. Okay, that's interesting. And that brings me to another point, but let me finish this one so that I can go on to that one. First of all, who are the PIDs? They are undercover agents.
Undercover agents?
Undercover agents.
Okay.
They are not supposed to be seen or known.
Okay.
They gather information, they process the information into intelligence and act on it.
Okay.
Okay? So why will you uncover undercover agents by making them media liaison officers? That's number one. Okay? Now, two, what is wrong with the PRO, our PR system?
Okay.
What are they doing in their offices? Have you trained, is there any training for the PIDs in media relations and other things? I have no evidence of that. And there's no evidence of that. What is he trying to hide? If it's intelligence you want to gather information, they could still get the information to you for you to process into intelligence. So I take it that the IGP is trying to hide something. Just like the EC is trying to play some games here, I think the IGP wants to play some games with the media houses. The media houses must be free to give out information on their airwaves and other things, and then because then is he saying that because he's giving you these liaison officers, you are not supposed to give out information? What is the criteria? What is he trying to say at the end of the day? Then secondly, and this is more important for me, who are the PIDs? There are too many mysteries surrounding the current PIDs under Dampare. Okay. All the killings that have been done under Dampare are allegedly perpetrated by these PIDs.
Killings under Dampare?
Yes, and it's no secret.
Killings.
All allegations of killings, that's what alleged. All the allegations of killings that have been done in this era are allegedly perpetrated by the PIDs. So how come that the PIDs become the media liaison officers? Are you getting the point?
Yeah, but I haven't heard anything about killings.
Oh, you've not heard anything about extrajudicial killings?
No.
You have not heard?
I heard those allegations made during
so those are
the hearing.
Those allegations are the ones I'm also referring to, that they are alleged to have been perpetrated by the PIDs. If you have not heard anything at all, let me give you a typical example.
Okay.
Do you remember some police personnel were alleged to have been involved in a robbery?
Yes.
And they were handcuffed and they were being sent for investigation around Ashama. In the process, they were killed. Those are clear stories of extrajudicial killings. Because you don't handcuff people and you go with them for investigation, and those two people were the only people killed. These are Kokuanansi stories that are indicative, and I am ready to use my academic and security analysis to prove this point anyway.
Those are serious allegations.
These are serious allegations, and I'm saying that there are other ones that were alleged at the parliamentary subcommittee. Yes. And my point is that the PIDs are alleged to have been at the center of all this. So how come that all of a sudden they have become media liaison officers? I will not trust them. And it is up to the media houses to decide whether to trust them or not to trust them.
So for you, the PR departments are better suited for this?
They are better suited for this. You see, there are another thing I like to talk about, for instance, is the fact that we are about less than 2 weeks to election. The presidential candidates have not been given bodyguards.
Okay.
You see, once a presidential candidate has been voted for and has been declared, he becomes a target.
Okay.
And therefore, right from that place, he must be given a bodyguard.
Okay.
What are we seeing now? They have been campaigning all these months, if not years, and yet they don't have, apart from maybe the former president, who already, by virtue of being the former president, he has, others don't have. That's how come you see a lot of private security people following them all around. In 2016 and in 2012 and other places, we had SOPs guiding this.
Okay.
And then we provided, and once the EC disqualifies you, like they've done to
you withdraw.
We withdraw the police personnel.
Okay.
Sometimes we give reasonable time so that we could. We are not so disorganized. We could give you 1 week in addition. Then we withdraw. But you don't wait until this time. Less than 2 weeks to election before they are giving them. I know for a fact that until Monday they were not given. And they are planning only to give them this week. So much as I agree that of late they have stepped up their efforts in going to churches and other things, those things should have been done earlier, because you see the IGP has always claimed that he started planning this for this election 2 years back.
Okay.
If you started planning for this election 2 years back, and it's now that you are doing engagement, then I'm sorry.
So you should have started
with
the engagement.
It should have started long ago, and especially when you say you have 5,400-page blueprint. The only blueprint that must be accepted is the blueprint that is preceded by stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
Because you see, you engage with the stakeholders.
So you say
get their inputs, and then you factor them into your blueprint.
You're saying the beginning of the planning should be stakeholder engagement.
Stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
From the beginning. Then through the process, you develop this blueprint. But we don't finish developing blueprint before meeting stakeholders. It is never that. It's just like coming out with a policy and say that, well, I have the policy, I'm now going to do stakeholder engagement. I mean, it is not done in any that's too unscientific. And so these are some of the issues that we need to talk.
The issue of consultation is a big one.
It's a big one for me. It's coming too late.
Because when I listen to you talk about what happened in 2016,
yes,
it's as if you are crediting engagements, constant engagements, conversations, talking with the political party, with how peaceful the elections were.
And I told you that by March or April, we had engaged them to the point that there was a communique signed by all the political parties to disassociate themselves from, and we did not end there. We kept meeting them over it until the election. So if by March, April, we were able to do that before 20 December, and you have now developed something in November, you are meeting them into December. I mean, for me, and another thing, I think that the IG is doing well, but he shouldn't become the spokesperson of the National Election Security Task Force. He is the head of the National Election Security Task Force.
Okay.
But he's not a spokesperson. But he has turned himself into a spokesperson.
Okay.
And because you have turned yourself into a spokesperson, you become susceptible to attacks.
Okay.
People will attack you directly.
Okay.
I don't have to be speaking this morning and talking about the IGP. I should be talking about the spokesperson who is giving the information. Okay. But because this information are being given by the IGP, then I'm directing my attacks and all my criticisms at the IGP. Okay. Now, if there is a damage control, who does it? The IGP has spoken.
Okay.
And therefore, who does the damage control?
So he's supposed to be the last person.
The last person. So there's a spokesperson. We have the police PR.
Okay.
Okay. We also have a media and publicity committee of the National Election Security Task Force.
Okay.
Which is also headed by the police PR.
Okay.
And therefore, allow them to talk, or allow the director of operations to talk, or allow the director general of operations to talk, so that when they make mistakes, the IGP can confidently come in and say, A, B, C, you will do the damage. Now the IGP has become the spokesperson of the National Election Security Task Force. Now, who does the damage control? So when I'm critiquing the fact that he is not the sole decider, I should have been directing this to the director of operations or director general of operations. You understand that
Yes.
the IGP will sit and will be the person. But you see, when you decide that everything revolves around you, that is where the problem comes in.
When you decide that everything revolves
Around you. And that is what is happening in the police service. Today we are talking about elections. Otherwise, I will just tell you that the style of the IGP is the fact that everything revolves around him. And that's how come that he has even instructed that regional commanders could not speak to the media or anybody. It was only last week that he gave the order that they should interact with that's how come that in the regions you see that last weekend you saw the regional commanders, everybody
having a conversation.
That should not be the case, because the National Election Security Task Force is decentralized. In the regions we have the Regional Election Security Task Force. In the district we have the District Election Security Task Force, and they must all be working. It should not be the IGP working and directing them what to work. The operations are defined.
They act separately.
They don't act separately, but I'm saying that the operations are defined and decentralized. That they don't need to be told, work, go here or go there. It is already, once you activate the National Election Security Task Force, everybody must know what
they are supposed to do. Okay.
That's the point. Everybody knows what to do.
They're saying in this case, everything revolves around him.
Everything revolves around him. That is how come that you see him always being the spokesperson. When they are meeting, look, let me give you examples. When at my time, I had a director general, Mr. Yohonu. I had the IGP.
Okay.
All they needed was that I show them what I'm about to do. They approve it or give input, and then I tell IGP, this is your speech. We are meeting these stakeholders.
Okay.
And we make sure that the IGP will be the last person to speak after. And even those ones are just things, we know areas that he must not veer into. Because there are technical issues. You understand? You see, when you're an IGP, it's not everything that you know.
Really?
I bet, does AKUFO-ADDO know everything?
Really?
No, the point is that you can't know everything. And that is why you have people working with you. Director General Finance, Director General Operations, Director General Services, Director General so and so. That's what I mean by it's not everything that you know. So you allow the technical people to work, and you allow people you set standards by way of delegating. But if you don't delegate and everything is about you, then that is where you'll be having problems. And nobody is even ready to say, oh, please, can we do it that way or that way? No. Everybody will be watching you. Because I know people who are still in the helms of affairs right now, who worked in the 2008 election.
Okay.
I know some of them who worked and shepherded the 2012 election. I know some of them who helped me, assisted me to execute the 2016 election, but they are all quiet. And I'm surprised that they are in the thick of affairs and certain things are happening.
They are not saying anything.
Well, let me leave that one there. One of the expectations that I have of the National Election Security Task Force is that we must get armbands for all the people who are being deployed. It's been a standard since 2008 or 12, thereabout, and we have done it. I think in 2020, we did not do that.
Okay, armbands for everybody.
Every police officer or fire service or anybody who is National Election Security Task Force members who are the polling stations and the collation centers must have armbands. So that you can simply identify them. Nobody will just go and wear any uniform and say that. because that one is a sign that you are on duty. You are assigned to election duty at the polling station or at the collation center, or even for patrol duties.
Okay.
So that
unique identification that you are part of those who are policing the elections.
Yes, you are part of those who are.
Okay.
And the political parties must watch out for this and insist on this. It's very important.
The armbands.
The armbands are very important. Another important thing is that police personnel, face masks and other things are not part of our accoutrement.
Okay.
And so political parties should insist that no police officer or nobody assigned for these duties must come with face masks.
Okay.
They must have their names and we must see their faces.
Okay.
People who are coming, maybe they are on patrols and other things. We should not have hoods and other things on so that you don't see their faces, but they see you. So that if they are perpetrating some violence on people, we can see and recognize them. And in case of any investigation, we will be able to identify them. Face masks must not be allowed anywhere in this election. And I'm speaking on authority. Yes, you must be identified. Your faces must be seen. Your name must be boldly written here. I must see your name. This is Agordzo. And this is Agordzo's face. If I wear my cap, my face can still show. But when you go and wear face mask, how do we identify you? Any criminality can be perpetrated, and we must, the political parties must speak against it. One of the things that made me happy this morning and part of yesterday was when the former president said that he will not sack any recruits in training in the security training schools. I think that because you see, people. First of all, there are no jobs. Okay. So people get jobs, and once they get jobs, their families are also excited. Then all of a sudden, the news is going around that they may be sacked when a particular political party takes over.
Oh, you've heard that?
I've heard that.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised, because if you remember, after 2016 election, certain people were in. Certain recruits, police recruits, were sacked by this government.
Really? They were in training?
They were in training. Some of them even passed out. But those in training, some of them were sacked.
Oh, really?
So you see, that issue is coming up again. So that assurance, and I am not saying this based on political whatever, I'm saying this based on the fact that, people must live and live well. People must have some satisfaction. And people must feed. Okay? So that assurance for me is very important.
Should you be worried that this is even an issue?
I should be worried.
But you're saying the history goes back to 2017.
You see, some of us have institutional memories on some of these issues. So when we speak, and those who are listening to me know that what I'm saying is true.
Then in 2017,
certain people were removed because they said that they did not meet the criteria for the recruitment. I don't know any other details apart from what I'm telling you. So I'm saying that it is good that there's an assurance coming from the former president that, look, this will not be repeated. And for me, I'm so happy. If we may talk about the special voting on Monday.
Yes, I'll come back to that. But to a lot of people, because questions have been raised about recruitment under this government. The manner in which it is done. You are a senior police officer. Even when your prosecution started, I don't know whether you still had any active engagements with but were those concerns germane? That the police hierarchy, were not the ones doing the recruitment? Because if you were the ones doing the recruitment, you go through the proper procedure. That there was somebody else who was doing the recruitment, and it seemed no advertisement are made. I use that stretch, the Tesano stretch, constantly to Pan-African TV. So on that stretch, most of the times you see that there are recruitments there, because if you see them outside doing some manual labor, among others. How did all this happen?
I think recruitments over the years have been politicized.
Okay.
And I wouldn't attribute it to one government or the other. I think that governments over the years have had are equally blamable for this issue. When I was being recruited many years ago, the commander in charge of the depot at Tesano was the one who led the team.
Okay.
Came to Hohwe and I went to write my exams in Hohwe. And I never paid a penny. Even in hospital, I never paid anything. My prayer at that time was that anybody anywhere that money was being requested, it meant that God did not want me to be part of the system. And I went through. Over the years, we have seen those procedures eroded with the headquarters interfering and sometimes some faceless people interfering. But let me put it this way. The last few years had been worse because we have a situation where people do only one recruitment and they wait and people go on training. They don't show us those who have passed. Remember, there were times that even those who had passed had been published.
Yes.
There were times that those who passed, whether it was through corruption or whatever, the names were published, so that we could have a reference point. But we have a situation now where there's no reference point. They told us that those who passed 3 years ago and could not make it, now we are calling all of them back. What is the guarantee that they were the ones who passed 3 years ago? What is the guarantee that it is not new people that they are recruiting into the system? So this is where it is so opaque. There is no there's no transparency at all. They are trying to show some semblance of transparency by coming out recently with information that, we have reached this stage, we have reached it. How did we get to that stage? That's the most important thing. How were those people recruited? That said, once those people have been recruited and they have the requisite qualification, they are Ghanaians. Their livelihoods must be respected. Their sources of livelihood must be respected. They have families, they have parents, they have brothers, they have sisters. I think that if any new government comes to power and they want to streamline it, they could still streamline it and make it better rather than making it arbitrary. That is why I'm saying that I'm excited at that promise, that pledge, that they will not be removed. Because I was not happy when they were removed in 2017, and I will not be happy if they are removed in 2025.
On Monday, typically you would have been voting, I guess, if you were still in the Ghana Police Service.
Definitely I would have been voting.
The special voting will happen on Monday.
Yeah.
One, your expectation first. And what do you think will happen?
Special voting is just normal, and I hope that all the people there could find their names, first of all, their names in the register. On the special voters register. Because I remember in 2016, I'm not talking about 2020, we had certain problems where some of them did not find their name. I did not even find my name as the director of operation in 2016. And therefore, I waited until the main day, and I went and voted. Yes, but of course, I was working, moving around, and therefore I just went somewhere, and they certified that I had not voted, and I voted. So first of all, I hope that those things are things of the past. I will not speak about the military because I don't know what is happening there. I will not speak about fire service, immigration, but I know what is happening in the police service. And I believe that a lot of police officers are listening to me now. There is so much disillusionment in the police service against the leadership of the police service.
Disillusionment.
I'm telling you that people are not too happy with the way things are happening in the police service, arbitrary promotions, vindictiveness, and all kinds of things. And therefore, what I am expecting is that people are going to vote against the system in place. Are you getting me? The system that is there. Especially when there is this perception by police personnel that when a certain candidate wins, he is more likely to keep the current IGP, because there are many people who don't want the IGP out there. There are many people. people have been so discriminated against. Even me, I've been discriminated against for one reason or the other. I've written to the police council and they are not minding me. The IGP is not minding me. But let me put that one aside. Okay. That's for another day. Just want to concentrate on this. So people whose promotions have been delayed, there are people who have been promoted almost every year. Not almost every year. Every year. Somebody was ASP when Dampare came. He promoted him to DSP. Then the next year he promoted him to superintendent. Today he is a chief superintendent. So for the 3 years that Dampare has been in power, this is what he's been doing consistently. A lot of indiscipline because of the fact that juniors have been arbitrarily promoted above their seniors. Okay, and the fact that procedures and processes have been turned upside down. For instance, you may be my commander, but formally, if I'm promoted as a junior rank, the list, the signal will come to you, and then you call me and congratulate me, and brief me on the fact that, look, now you were a sergeant, you are now inspector. These are the expectations of you. Okay. Now, listen carefully. This time round, Dampare'S procedure is that there's no signal to any commander. So you will be there, and I'm a sergeant. The next day you see me wearing an inspector rank, and the only time, oh yes, I received I've been promoted. These are the things that are happening in the police service, and there are many people who are opposed to it. So my expectation is that people are going to vote not against certain candidates, but against Dampare, who symbolizes or represents.
So Dampare is not on the ballot.
Oh, very good. So when I say, that's why I'm explaining that people are going to vote against Dampare and the system that is holding Dampare in place. Do you get me now? And then he's also supported by the police council. And who chairs the police council? So when I say that people are going to vote against Dampare and the system that is holding him in place, then you must understand me.
Well, you're suggesting that Dr. Bawumia is complicit in this?
Well, I have not said that. I'm saying that people are going to, because listen, who approves the proposals of Dampare? It's the police council. All the arbitrary promotions that he's been sending to them, one person 3 times in three times in 3 years, who approves it? It's the police council.
Does that not happen at all?
It doesn't happen like that.
You can't promote one person
every year. What is special about that person? What is he doing extraordinary? Special recommendations are based on solid, verifiable achievements. Okay. Where are they? Where are they? You see, some of us speak the way we speak because we know what we are talking about. And they know by now that I've gone through it all. And I understand I know what I'm talking about. How come that one person will just be promoted every year? And seniors have become, interestingly, in my course, people were just selected. Even juniors, you can have a list of promotion list. And there are seniors even on the list, because if your name comes, you are the senior. Now, people under were lifted and promoted above their seniors when we don't have promotion assessment boards. There's no assessment happening. So everything is arbitrary. How come that all of a sudden there are many people in court against the IGP over promotions? Police personnel, 7 police personnel are in court against the IGP over arbitrary promotion. And so when I say that people are going to vote against Dampare,
and the system
the system that is keeping him, understand me.
That's quite interesting. Promotions without assessments.
Without any assessment, there's no assessment. No assessment is happening. No assessment at all in the police service now. No assessment boards. Nothing. Dampare is just promoting based on his whims and caprices. No performance appraisals. No, nothing.
Sometimes I have to pretend I haven't heard some of this stuff.
You don't heard them.
No, actually I've heard most of the things you're saying. I actually heard it privately. Anyway, there's one thing I would still like to go back to. Yeah. In 2020, when whatever happened, involving persons who were clothed in police uniform, clothed in military uniform. Now, every one of us started wondering, so what happens when a police officer does this or a military officer does this? What was supposed to have happened? Were they supposed to have been identified and arrested, investigated? What happens in this case when police officers and military officers are identified to have acted in such a manner?
The normal thing was for some investigation to have been conducted and people found culpable are sanctioned. But you see, this will not happen because they may have done that on the orders of the political authorities that should constitute such committees. Okay, how come that these things have happened for the past 4 years or more, and we have not had any investigation, no report? So impunity reigns, and that's why there wouldn't be any investigation. There cannot be any investigation. How come that up to today there's no investigation into how the military entered Parliament, the Chamber of Parliament? Because somebody is behind it, and somebody will not authorize that investigation. They will not authorize that investigation. They will only authorize investigation against people they perceive as somebody who is opposed to their ideas, like mine. If they see me as very critical of policies and other things, of the system, they will quickly come after me. If I said something here which was criminal, they will come after me. But if there's similar, let me give you another example. Didn't we hear of falsification of false news being perpetuated by somebody in Ashanti region?
Yes.
We can say that it's misdemeanor, it's the lowest of all crimes. Fine. But Democracy Hub, whatever they did was also misdemeanor. But they were sent to court, they were not granted bail, they were sent to court, and they were remanded in prison custody for 2 weeks. At the end of the day, some of them were even freed because there's no evidence against them. But this person was arrested and granted bail. Why is he granted bail? Because go and find out the owner of the radio station or the TV station he's managing. The owner is alleged to be a powerful person in a political party.
No, not alleged to be. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows. So why will anybody? You dare not do it? So this is where the impunity comes in. This is where the impunity comes in. So I'm just giving you more examples into the why no investigation will be conducted.
We have to bring this to a close. In fact, how would you vote? Based on what you said, who would you vote for?
My vote, I told you already that I will not vote for those who destroyed my career. Those who I've been praying against them. So definitely I will not vote for anybody other than the NDC. That one I have to say clearly because that is the hope. That's the hope. Clearly, that's the hope.
And this is also based on your own track record of working with them and how they allowed you free hand to.
My track record of working with them. But aside that, the fact that those people have been wicked towards me.
Okay.
And so I cannot vote the wicked people into power. If they win, God forbid. But if they win, that's their business. If God allows them to rule again, that's up to them. But for me, not my vote. And not my family vote.
Not your vote, and can guarantee?
Yes, I can guarantee that. But who in my family will be happy with the kind of treatment they have given me? My children, every child of mine has a vote. There are 5. Their wives, at least 3 are married. They also have votes. And their families. Can you imagine? Me alone, I have a lot of votes.
So what is your message to the Ghanaian in the lead up to the elections? You once headed, you once did operations for election security task force.
Yes.
Among
I was
many
the
other
director of patrols. I was director of what do you call it? Transformation, etc., etc. But I will appeal to all Ghanaians to conduct themselves peacefully in this election. I also appeal to the state apparatus to do their work professionally. I will then appeal to the government to allow the state professionals like the IGP to do his work professionally. Because that is what I experienced. So I expect that they will give him that same thing. So that whatever happened in 2020, where military were deployed on the blind side of the police and other things, and then I also was gone, should not happen. But I also appeal to citizens to also be very vigilant and protect their votes if need be. By going there after 5 o'clock, being present when it's being counted, and resisting any officer who, in an unauthorized manner, with all masks on their faces and other things, wanting to steal the will of the people. Citizens have a responsibility as well to protect their own votes. Thank you very much.
Do you ever wonder what would have happened to your career without a prosecution? Where you have gotten to? Does it ever occur to you?
I'm thankful to God for where I have reached, and I don't want to hazard any guess where I would have reached, but definitely I wouldn't have been anything less than a deputy commissioner of police, DCOP, or even a commissioner, depending on who the IGP and whatever he wants me to do. But at least I would have been a deputy commissioner of police. And that is the reason why I have written to the police council to restore my promotion to me. Because those promotions were given at the time that I was being tried. And I was still in the service when they were promoted. Okay? There were no assessments. And even if there were assessments, once I've been acquitted, it is deemed that I've been assessed. Legally, it's deemed that I've been assessed. And therefore, that's why I've not even gone in for my retirement benefits. Because I insist that I must have my promotion before I...
Promotion to DCOP?
Before, or even higher. Even higher. Because I deserve to be compensated all round before I start processing my retirement benefits. Even if it means inflation weighing it down, I don't care. You must be principled in life, and you must fight for what is worth it. You must fight for it and set an example.
And of course, his book is still available. The book is Benjamin K. Agordzo, From Persecution to Freedom, Reflections on My Journey Through the Justice System in Ghana. In fact, he had to write Justice System in Ghana. But as far as he's concerned, he says he sees it as the injustice system in Ghana. So this is from Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. Please feel free. Get in touch with us if you are one of those who is interested in getting yourself a copy of this book. 0599922922. Just get in touch with us. If you know my number, please do. If you know Nancy's number, please do. We'll get you a contact. They will get you this book wherever you are. Even if you are in Siberia, the book will arrive wherever you are. So please do get in touch. A big thank you. Just a few comments before we go. The King of Mid-Morning is here. We'll take over with the Mid-Morning Show. This is ASP Franklin Nate, retired, who says Dr. Agordzo was an honest, fearless, and straightforward senior man. We knew ourselves very well when I became the staff officer to COP Kofi Boakye. Please extend my regards to him. That's from ASP Franklin Nate, retired. A few more comments. This one says, I feel so sad. Ask Ghanaian, please. So don't we have any elder in this country who will talk to our judiciary? Nana Addo and his party are seriously destroying the judiciary. And the way former President Kufuor manipulated the Supreme Court to get Mr. Chikata jailed, the same way Nana Addo is doing. This blatant manipulation of a court by the president must be condemned. It makes the court useless. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Good morning to ACP, Dr. Agordzo. May Allah bless and protect you in all your endeavors. There's, of course, Wolves Bonnie, who says, good morning. That written on Ghana's coat of arms, freedom and justice must be erased. The practices of the judicial service and the level of injustice in the country are too much. Abbas Amogobo in Ofinso is also joining us. Says Ghanaians will chop MPP Baumia money and vote for Mahama. What they did to AKUFO-ADDO in 2008 will repeat itself again. History will repeat itself again. Ghanaians will not allow MPP to break the 8 without accountability of their past 8 years. And then some more says, good morning. I hope you listened to how he mentioned his name. Yes. My friend. Yes, I did. In fact, thank you for drawing my attention. I think it was unintentional. I should know better. It is not a matter of an inability to pronounce his name. I should know better. My entire education was in Sogakope. From primary through to senior high school was in Sogakope. So that name should not. So if I thank you for drawing my attention to the fact that I should know better. Well, those are some of the comments you're sending to us. Thank you very much for making time to join us on the Good Morning Conversation for today. I am Sana Nombo, my co-host are Nancy Obimpe, Stephen Mreku. And was show produced by Eric Boateng, Facebook Live by Alaska. Coming up next is the King of Mid Morning, Ochami Bajimba, with the Mid Morning Show.
Station Accra 20.